Ok. E ci siamo.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't followed first.
Ok.
In keeping watch, demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone suspicious thus far.
Very good. But let's not let our guard down for now.
Comunque Navia c'ha il suo perché,
You'll find rooms for our respected guests.
Thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, traveler.
Oh, d'altronde. Va negli alloggi che ha preparato Navia. Buonasera, buonasera a tutti. Credo sia qui, aspetta però. Dov'è? Sì, è precisamente qui. E là. Andiamo piano, andiamo piano. L'MLM, andiamo. Ok. Che poi qua ci sono già venuto per gli affari mia mentre cercavo tesori. Sì, Hydroculus e altre cose. E potevo anche usare il teleport visto che c'ero, però... Parla con il Mod Melus.
This is your base? It's not quite what Paimon imagined.
Your accommodations have been arranged.
Ok.
In present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Le mie povere aspettative.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately. After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us.
E quindi capisco che la situazione non sia delle migliori.
One. But if you have the support of the people, that does sound like it's worth it.
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago. I'm afraid I'm not quite his equal.
Your father... He was the previous boss of Spina di Rosula, right?
Spina di Rosula, ok.
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No, I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And as partners, this is something I hope they can understand. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets.
Ok.
3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial. He died. But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence. Strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but rumor has it that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender, determined to die in the arena.
Boy.
3 years later, I still don't understand why he did that. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself.
Hai qualche indizio sul motivo?
The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
So that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom of that case.
Ah, le stesse sparizioni che hanno coinvolto...
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in.
quel tizio nella prima parte dell'Archon.
Single new clue in my countless reviews of the investigation records. However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his friend, I must get to the truth. If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
La ricerca della verità per il bene della tua famiglia. Devo dire che ci assomigliamo da questo punto di vista.
Demoiselle, please, if there is anything I can do, anything at all.
Blues Brother qui.
You'll never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the two of you, Demoiselle. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case for him to be dubbed Callus the Unfaithful. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait, if Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious when he was accused?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. Everyone's like that. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
Questo è vero.
How could... never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, we have to find the truth. He didn't deserve to have that happen to him.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Clorand.
Clorand.
Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him?
Ora capisco perché l'atmosfera era un po' strana tra voi due.
Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can just let go and move on from.
Ms. Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't yield, she will not stop either. She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how he was resolute in the arena, there was only ever one choice she could have made.
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just can't deal with this yet.
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have to force yourself to do that.
Afterward, Ms. Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety.
Ciò vuol dire che intendeva morire durante quel duello.
Yes, that is our understanding as well.
Ok.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right, anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end.
No, va tutto bene, capisco quanto sia importante per te.
Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after all.
Yeah, Paimon's beat.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly.
Ok. Allora, riposa nella tua stanza, che è qui dentro. Riposa. Sotto la protezione della splendida Rosula faccio robe. Bene, De. Oi oi.
This place feels almost too safe. Huh? Navia? Where did the other two go?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's been
Poisson.
Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the moment.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back? Were you waiting here the whole time?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vacher.
Vacher.
So you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match anywhere. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But that does prove that this Vacher person is a key witness in the incident.
Does that mean we're too late, though?
Aia.
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to threaten, no matter how much they wanted to. And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Navia, a place where
Okay.
these files on all the cases in recent years are kept. If the Ocean that you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some related information there.
So Nervalette maintains an archive of case files? Whew. Guess that's the hard-working Chief Justice for you. In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we?
Andiamo.
Aren't you coming along, Navia? Did you get tired?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the Honorable Chief Justice.
Forse c'è del trascorso tra loro due. Oh, belle cose. Intanto un achievement ce lo sono portati a casa. Vai al palazzo. No, raggiungi l'ufficio del giudice supremo. E quindi noi ci teleportiamo subito davanti al palazzo reale. Più o meno.
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Andiamo, però prima un attimo che riscuoto l'achievement, visto che ci sono. Allora, eccolo qui. Sbam. Palace Mermonia. Vediamo il giudice Nuvolette se ci dirà qualcosa riguardo gli eventi trascorsi. Abbassa il braccio.
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters.
This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Nervalette's files are really secure.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to.
Severo fino al midollo.
Exceptions.
Fiscale anche.
Got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't have a reason to be here.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician Linny.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can trust us.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
Ok, raggiungi l'ufficio del giudice supremo, che è in alto. Come salgo? Da qua.
Please come in.
Ah, ok, grazie. Boh, sei senza ufficio, Nuvolette.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalette. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the files.
Who knew that Nervalette would be so easy to talk to?
Secondo me c'è qualcosa di sotto.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Immagino che questo sia quanto... Ed eccoci di nuovo al punto di partenza. No, alla prima.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette. We'll take our leave now.
Ok. Niente, Mr. Neuvillette.
Miss,
Allora, esatto.
understand how you feel.
C'è un trascorso tra di loro.
He's a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express...
Lo sapevo che c'era qualcosa sotto.
No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should.
Cos'hai combinato, Neuvillette?
After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel?
Lo sapevo.
Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions he still owes me answers to. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
I'm sorry.
Cazzo.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Neuvillette, vedi? Da classico giudice, lui si attesta alle regole. Si appresta almeno. Appresta o attesta?
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today. How strange.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
La pioggia.
Did you think of something?
Il caso di tuo padre. Era all'esterno quando è successo tutto.
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value.
C'era qualcosa che all'epoca non sapevi, però.
Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
Le persone possono essere tramutate in acqua.
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away with the rain? Yeah, and if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities.
I really think
Mamma mia, fortissimi.
true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots earlier? All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later?
Dovremmo andare ora che abbiamo le idee belle fresche in mente.
Great, let's go then.
Andiamo. Subito. Forti. A capire il misfatto. Qualunque esso sia. Basta che si muova. Allora, dove andiamo? Ah, siamo già qui, siamo? Ok.
No way I can get a nap.
Dove a Poisson stiamo andando? Elementare. Benvenuti al Poisson.
Whoa, what a huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
Sto iniziando a capire perché ti piace tanto.
I thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main base, our home.
E quindi parla con Melus sulla nave. E è laggiù, c'è un teleporto là perché Soppiro non voleva arrivarci a piedi. Ovviamente no. Va bene, ci andiamo a piedi allora. Grande Munashell! Mi raccomando, fai a modo. È uscito fuori un po' partenopeo. Allora, capiamo.
Take it easy.
Che dici? Dunque. Ehi, quanto è sta
Take
parte?
it easy.
Sì, eccolo.
Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners.
Piacere
You
mio.
said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordial sea? You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
E se dietro tutto ci fosse la stessa persona?
Could you tell us a bit
Eh?
about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson. At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield. Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Ok.
But the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone to become his informant. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Ok.
How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Conflitto di interessi.
Case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
Forse erano di qualcuno che si è dissolto.
Precisely.
Ma...
All thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
Forse tuo padre aveva avuto un litigio con Jax. Ma è anche possibile che c'entri la terza persona. Un litigio con Jax, proviamo. Porta non cambia nulla, però.
Still don't know what happened.
Fa figo farlo sembrare.
That we're on the right track to figuring it all out. I'm finally headed towards the truth.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with 0 warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice.
Ok.
Though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
Ok.
So you do know something else, Malus.
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
Ok. Quindi l'ha un po' fatto per proteggerla.
Also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live. And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid
Ja.
you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword.
Ok.
The spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved. I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now?
Ti ha dato la libertà di scegliere come vivere la vita.
Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where Synth is produced.
That's...
It's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
Insomma.
That we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they have been infiltrated.
E si scoprì che è Malus, in quanto è sempre il maggiordomo.
My father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
Malus.
I'm the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark.
Ok.
The reactions of the synth vendors. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Oh, Marcel.
Cos'è questa congrega?
It's a guild.
Capiamo.
Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around, with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like an organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
Number one.
My dear,
The real number one. Ci penso io.
I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Dossier sul caso di Callas. 3 anni fa, in una notte piovosa, gli ospiti del banchetto sentirono 2 colpi di arma da fuoco fuori dalla casa. Quando arrivarono sulla scena, Callas impugnava una pistola e Jax era stato ucciso. Basandosi sulle indagini svolte in quel momento, era impossibile che qualcun altro avesse compiuto il misfatto e fosse poi scappato. Di conseguenza, Callas fu giudicato colpevole. Capire. Visita la famiglia di Jax. O Jux, loro. Allora, dove sono? Di là. Aspetta, fammi tentare un approccio dal davanti, magari. Ok.
It is settled. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Carissimo.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Coralie. La bimba è un po' diffidente, Abbastanza.
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
Non diamole fastidio per adesso. Sta per accadere qualcosa di grosso.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed to face the two of you.
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rusula sent us a lot of mora and support. I understood your guilt and apology to be genuine.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with losing a father so needlessly.
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you, because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation gift. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you, and to all of us.
Adele.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to carry all that guilt. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found our answer already.
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father could ever bring himself to shoot Jacques.
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, he thought Mora was everything. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the two of us.
Un momento, quindi qualcuno ha ordinato a Jax di far fuori Callas?
I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to.
Ok.
Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible for me to hate him for what he had done.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing? Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your papa was a good man, right?
Yeah, Papa was a really good man. The best in the whole world.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons. Regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword. He must have done so to give you a better life.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth. The current state of things is not something I'm willing to just sit back and accept.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to hear this from you. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone said that to me.
Testimonianza della famiglia di Jax. La famiglia di Jax crede che l'ordine di uccidere Callas l'avesse messo in seria difficoltà. Callas ha agito per autodifesa o si nasconde altro dietro l'incidente? Lo scopriremo soltanto andando a parlare con Flores.
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florent should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city. I'll get myself together on the way, so please don't worry.
Eccoci.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
Carissimo.
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House. Someone got turned into water right in front of us.
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all it's worth. And it'll be all the talk for the next several weeks.
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, it was raining outside, and we found some clothes left at the scene. After my partner here put the dots together for me, I feel like we should try to reopen his case. Can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callis was feeling pretty upbeat that day. So he was drinking and bantering away with us at the table. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go without thinking much of it. Who knew that we would hear 2 gunshots ring out right after? My first reaction was that Mr. Callis's life was in danger. So I grabbed my holster and made a mad dash toward the scene. But when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callis was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands. All we could do was look back and forth at each other, not knowing what to say.
Ok.
I also remember 2 gunshots then.
Indeed. The guard said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. But I've never really bought that explanation. Reason being, Mr. Callis had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to the scene. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns on his person. About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third person there who was turned into water?
È decisamente possibile.
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no reason to bring an extra gun with him. The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a third person on the scene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callis ended up with the gun because he seized it from one of the other guys? But hold on. If that's what had happened, then why didn't he share the truth with any of us? He didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine, and chose instead to prove his honor in a duel. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malouse told me a thing or two. So, I think I can understand why he committed to the duel. I'll tell you everything, once the whole truth has been revealed.
I understand. Then, I'll leave Mr. Callis's honor in your hands, boss. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callis the Unfaithful epithet has been a thorn in my side since...
Ok, quindi Florent apparentemente sembrerebbe innocente.
Mr. Callis, even after so many years have passed. But it was Mr. Callis's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula and live the life I lead today. No matter what others might say, he'll always be the man I respect the most. And he'll always be my boss.
Don't worry. I will definitely find the truth. You and all our other comrades at the Spina deserve to know the truth as well.
E quindi, informazioni su Florent. Florent, il consulente della Spina di Rosula, ha affermato di essere molto grato a Callas per la sua gentilezza. Anche lui era presente al banchetto del giovane nel giorno del delitto e può provare che Callas non aveva portato con sé la pistola quando è uscito. Ok, quindi questa pistola non era di Callas e... Andiamo a capire un attimino come ha fatto a procurarsela. Torniamo di qua. Alla corte di Fontaine. Raggiungi la corte di Fontaine e vai a parlare con Thierry. Ah, lui Thierry, eccolo qui. Bellino.
Hey, Thierry, it's me.
Grande.
Now, what brings you here, Miss Navia? I've heard that you made quite the name for yourself at the Opera House.
Oh, so you've got news of that already.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the Guards, you know. The way you make it sound, people would think I was sent off to Poisson because I had done something wrong.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you have been called back to the city already?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Let's just say I enjoy the ambiance of Poisson. Callus did a fantastic job running the town, building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing many obstructions in my way. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job in the city. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these two friends of yours? You, here for some formal business?
Più o meno.
Yes. These two are my partners.
Sì.
What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's may be related. We're trying to reinvestigate the details of my father's old case.
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water, right? I was also flabbergasted when I first heard of it. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case, I can help you look for them.
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have another question. Do you have the authority to dispatch Gardamek?
Mecha Guard, ok.
Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poisson on my own. Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully get more evidence for your father's case.
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardameks in the city. So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do is get rid of the mecha serial numbers and send them after me.
Then you think too highly of my abilities. Dispatching mecha is very different from controlling them. If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but not to massage your shoulders or carry your baggage. If you make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. The same goes for me and my Gardamex. Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps to it, and it's almost impossible to keep it a secret. So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private units. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though, being in the synth business would definitely be profitable enough to afford this.
Non fa la piega.
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Meno male, via.
Oh, well, thank you for the vote of confidence, Navia. Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with your investigation. I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me if you need any support from the guards.
Ok. Informazione su Thierry. Thierry è il responsabile dei contatti ufficiali tra la Spina di Rosula e la Guard. Secondo lui solo coloro abbastanza ricchi possono possedere privatamente un gran numero di mecha Guard. Più o meno. Allora, metti in contatto con Marcel, che dovrebbe essere esatto da questa parte. Andrò a piedi. Sì, così si può dire. Olè. Evitiamo magari di sfrascellarsi al suolo con Yelan e ci siamo. Una tizia.
Hello.
Calcagni.
I'm here to see Marcel.
Certo.
Could you please let him know? You can just say Navia's looking for him.
Sure, I will let him know right away.
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to be, so my legs are giving out a bit.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. There's no need to stress. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House. I'm sure you saw everything too, right?
Yes, I've never seen anything so strange.
Oh, you were at the Opera House too?
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into a whole murder mystery? I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your exploits over a few glasses of wine.
Fondamentale il vino.
Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of drunkards.
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as a nation. Everyone loves drama and theatrics.
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact that humans can dissolve in water?
Yes, I was reminded of your father's case right away. Is that what you're investigating now?
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can sense that the other side has already begun to act.
Oh, and what makes you say that?
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water from the primordial sea.
If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you right now.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. Wasn't it you who protected us?
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought so dearly will soon become a thing of the past. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone wants to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the last Mora to bring them to justice.
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hiding. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me, so it'll take me a while to recall my memory. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. I didn't even have the time to drink with the guests. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Di uno sparo.
No need to push yourself.
Non due.
Around some more. See if there are any valuable clues elsewhere.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever need Mora.
Ha detto uno sparo per modo di dire.
Comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it takes to clear his name.
Allora, informazioni su Marcel. Marcel è il capo della congrega di Cabrières, nonché l'organizzatore del banchetto anni fa. La congrega e la spina di Rosula hanno sempre mantenuto una stretta relazione lavorativa. Sebbene i suoi ricordi degli eventi siano piuttosto confusi, è disposto a difendere Navia. Rivedi gli indizi insieme a Navia. Allora, dov'è Navia? Navia, potevi aspettare un attimino, che venivo anch'io. Qui c'è qualcosa che non costa. Intanto Marcella ha detto che ha sentito solamente uno sparo. Qui c'è del sospettame.
Purely based on their conversations with me.
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
Sì, nessuno di loro ha dato quell'impressione.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to find them out, then my father wouldn't have needed to investigate the case for so many years. Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were able to find.
Ok.
But where should we start?
Dal movente di Jax.
You're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance. That makes sense.
According to Jacques' family members, I already told him that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he left home that day.
Ok.
If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father. Had he refused, he and his family's lives...
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Nei panni di Jax non avrei sparato affatto, però.
Oh? And why is that?
Era in grado di garantire la sua incolumità dopo aver ucciso Callas? Era in grado di garantire l'incolumità della sua famiglia dopo aver ucciso Callas?
That's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he had completed his mission, he'd be of no more use to his boss.
Huh. So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his back on the order and seek protection from my father.
La terza persona è stata quella che ha fatto capitolare tutto.
Makes sense. But without evidence, it's still just a theory.
Lo dici te.
Jock, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me quite a bit as well. It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial seawater was revealed.
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead to the end?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite possible. But who among the three suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex?
Allora, fra i tre forse quello più altolocato è Marcel.
Uncle Marcel? My father did really trust him. And they worked together on a large number of projects. Maybe that's how he got to know Jacques. And with funds from the Confrérie, he could also afford a large number of Gardamex. It's still really hard for me to imagine, though. After all, Uncle Marcel has been around since I was just a child. Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of mora and energy to fight his own synth business?
Forse è stato qualcun altro. Ma Thierry ha detto che non poteva essere. Florent. Quanto è altolocato Florent? Thierry comunque era tipo nelle guardie, quindi era strano. Florent.
Florent? It is true that he was closest to my father, and thus had the best chance of learning about his dealings with Jacques. But as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with personnel and security, so he shouldn't have much means when it comes to finances.
So you're saying he's too broke to afford a mecha army?
Exactly. He can't. And even if he could, I don't think he would be able to dispatch a whole group so quickly.
E allora non rimane che Thierry.
You say? Huh. It is possible that he's figured out a way to convert the Gardamex for personal use. But I didn't feel like
infatti.
he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think he'd be able to keep that kind of tampering under wraps.
Yeah. Had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able to prove it with a simple check of the guard's inventory. If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and how that happened.
Vedi Paimon, non sa una sega, ma quando la sa? E allora chi sarà stato? Credo... Allora, ora si investiga. Dunque... Allora, ci manca una persona, un indagato. Dossier sul caso di Callas. 3 anni fa, in una notte piovosa, gli ospiti del banchetto sentono 2 colpi di arma da fuoco fuori dalla casa. Quando arrivarono sulla scena, Callas impugnava una pistola e Jax era stato ucciso. Basandosi sulle indagini svolte in quel momento, era impossibile che qualcun altro avesse compiuto il misfatto e fosse poi scappato. Di conseguenza, Callas fu giudicato colpevole. Marcel ha detto che lui ha sentito solamente un colpo, però. Hai ricordi confusi.
You know, if you think everything through, Uncle Marcel is indeed the most suspicious of them all.
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing when he narrowed it down to these three, did he?
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. When he laid out his case for the three, the rationale he gave me made a lot of sense as well. The suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to dispatch Mecha to assassinate us, and possesses significant intellect and foresight. Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie back to Uncle Marcel.
Dopotutto è una persona molto vicina a te.
We still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
La serie di produzione del Sims.
Yes, Malus did say that charging straight in there would be extremely risky, but we don't have any other options right now. We need far more solid proof before we can hope to go charging in on our enemy.
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been looking for you.
Oh, carissimo.
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the guards? Did something happen?
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left. We've got another trial on our hands.
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials? What's so newsworthy about this one?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tartaglia.
E ti pareva non ci fosse anche lui? Il principe.
What? Is that someone you know?
Più o meno.
Yeah, we know him. Maybe even a little too well.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case. It's absurd, don't you think?
Wait, how? None of our investigations have had anything to do with him.
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell you the news right away. If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support any of our planned investigations.
Right, because they'll think they've already found the culprit.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot harder then to clear Mr. Callus's name.
I understand. Well, partner, what do you think we should do? We still haven't found any conclusive evidence.
Dividiamoci e capiamo le cose, via.
Split up? What do you mean?
Tu vai a Erinis là. Io vado a indagare su quel luogo. Ho molta fiducia nelle mie abilità nel combattimento. Voglio dire la seconda.
Just as expected of my partner.
Ok.
This is a trial about the serial disappearances case. The culprit's attention will be focused on Irenaeus, leaving his home base wide open. You're right. This is our best opportunity. All right then, let's do this. I'll install them at the Opera House and charge Marcel as the true culprit.
Ormai è deciso.
Any chance of making that charge stick, though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be up to you to make
Ci penso io.
and hand the decisive evidence to me.
Ci pensa a me.
You, just like you helped us in Linny's trial.
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
Certo.
Ah, Malus, Silver. When did you two get here?
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson and figured that you might require our assistance. It's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered with the two of us by your side.
Thank you so much. Then, let's make haste for Irenaeus. Paimon, Traveler, I'll see you at the Opera House.
See you then!
Analisi dei sospettati. Combinando le informazioni relative ai Mechaguard e i risultati delle indagini finora, si può concludere che solo una persona può possedere un gran numero di Mechaguard e gestire il business dei synth senza lasciare tracce. Questa persona altra non è che Marcel, ma siamo sicuri? Perché non sono sicuro.
also get going.
Raggiungi il luogo menzionato da loro.
Marked on the map, so let's head over.
Trova l'entrata al quartier generale.
Zip.
Take it easy.
Let's go and try to find the entrance.
Andiamo. Mi sa che l'ho trovata.
Finally found it. Huh. So this is the entrance that leads to the synth production base.
Sì, ma sono sicuro che troveremo qualcosa di straordinario al suo interno, Paimon.
You're right. An important place like this is bound to have a ton of protective measures and mechanisms. Navia's probably arguing up a storm right now to stall for us.
Nel frattempo, all'opera Epiclips. Quella, insomma.
It would appear that I must repeat my question again, Mr. Tartaglia. Do you accept the charge that you are the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case?
To be perfectly honest, I don't understand your country's complicated court system, or the reason why I'm being charged with something I've never even heard of. However, I did hear that people who are charged can choose to participate in a duel to clear their name. Is that right? In which case, as long as I accept the charge, I can have an all-out fight with
certo.
Clorend, right? I've got to admit, that's one of the most enticing offers I've ever received. When I privately sparred with her last time, she was obviously holding back. Real disappointing.
Hey! Don't you understand? You're currently the prime suspect for a major case. This isn't the place for you to be looking for fights.
Oh? Sounds like the Hydro Archon wants to lecture me on the ways of the Opera House. Then why don't you duel me too? I'm the kind of student that learns best in the heat of battle.
Il classico Tartaglia.
That's not what I meant.
Alas, it would appear that communication with the defendant is going poorly, and we have made very little progress. In that case, let me explain everything from the very beginning again. The goal of this trial is to determine the culprit behind the serial disappearances case.
That case had nothing to do with him. You've got the wrong man.
Huh? What's going on? Why is she interjecting again?
I told you it couldn't be one of the Fatui harbingers.
Miss Navia, this is the second time you've interrupted the court proceedings. I only tolerated your behavior last time because you were able to provide the court with a key eyewitness. But that was an exception rather than standard court protocol. I can very well charge you with contempt of court for your interjection.
Vai piano, nuvoletta.
Please, did you ever think I had any respect for this place's pointless theatrics? We can put that discussion aside for now. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to charge the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case. And if my charges prove true, then Tartaglia here will be proven innocent by default, correct?
Oh, a young lady has charged in and offered to clear my name. How fascinating. Well, I'd gotten half bored to death by all these rules and procedures anyway, so I'll take you up on that offer. So, Your Honor, is there nothing else for me to do now?
You may take a seat for now in the audience, but that doesn't mean the suspicions against you have been lifted. Now then, Miss Navia, who is the person you would like to charge instead?
That person is...
Devo essere io proprio, ma non se l'ha già deciso. Allora, analisi dei sospettati. Combinando informazioni relative ai Mica Guard e i risultati dell'indagine finora, si può concludere che solo una persona può possedere un granulo di Mica Guard. Bimbi, allora, Florent, il consulente della splendida Rosula, ha affermato di essere molto grato a Callas per la sua gentilezza. Anche lui era presente al banchetto nel giorno del delitto e può provare che Callas non aveva portato con sé la pistola quando è uscito. Quindi lui scagionerebbe Callas. Cioè il suo alibi scagionerebbe Callas. A prescindere. Testimonianza, famiglia di Jax crede che l'ordine di uccidere Callas l'avesse messa in serie difficoltà. Callas ha agito per autodifesa o si nasconde altro dietro l'incidente? No, io continuo a pensare che sia Marcel.
Marcel, the head of confrérie of Cabriere.
Huh? What confrérie? Never heard of them in my life.
I've heard of them, but weren't they Spina di Rosula's sister organization?
Era affiliata, era.
Friends to enemies type situation?
Please let me remind you, Miss Navia, that charging someone is an incredibly serious matter. Committing to the charge also means taking on the legal responsibilities associated with it. And if the charge fails, depending on the circumstances, you may also be charged with the crime of making a false accusation. Knowing this, do you still wish to charge this man?
Yes, I do.
In that case, I declare the charge to be valid. Miss Navia and attorneys, please take your places on the court. Members of the guards, please contact Mr. Marcel right away so that he may stand trial. Mr. Marcel, you will not require an attorney. Is that correct?
Apologies. It all just happened so quickly. I still haven't figured out what's going on. I think an attorney won't be necessary. This is probably just a misunderstanding between me and Navia.
Very well. In that case, since both sides have now arrived, Miss Navia, please present your charges.
I would like to take it 3 years ago to the case of Callas the Unfaithful. Only through elucidating what really happened in that case can we connect all the dots for the serial disappearances case.
Navia, do you really think that I was the one who killed your father? Come on, why would I do that? Callas was my benefactor, and remember both you and I only ran to the scene when we heard the sound of a gun. If that's enough to make me a suspect, wouldn't that make everyone at that banquet a suspect as well?
I think there's no point in getting into specifics right now. The audience doesn't even have the big picture yet. Even I'm struggling to remember some details of that case.
Exactly correct, Your Honor. I must refresh everyone's memory about that case before I can explain my charge and reasoning.
I see. In which case, I will recount the findings about that case as originally recorded by Maison Gardiennage.
Comincia la confutazione.
On the day of the murder, Spina di Rosula hosted a large banquet in a countryside estate owned by the confrérie of Cabriere.
Ok. Il giorno di Spina di Rosula aveva tenuto un banchetto nella tenuta campagna di proprietà della congrega. Ok.
All attending guests heard 2 gunshots.
2 spari, eh?
When the guests arrived at the scene, they found the primary suspect, Callas, holding a gun, while his acquaintance, Jacques, lay dead from a gunshot wound. The guards' investigation did not recover any other firearms from the scene. As a result, they concluded that the suspect's first shot must have missed, while the second must have taken Jacques' life.
Ok.
The suspect did not dispute this conclusion, and also declined to defend himself in court. Instead, he chose to prove his innocence through a duel. Callas was defeated by champion duelist Clarand
È più forte.
and soon succumbed to the injuries. These are the known facts about the case.
Ma adesso tocca a noi. E invece no.
The one with the motive to kill was Jacques, not my father. And even so, Jacques still had no reason to pull the trigger. In truth, the third person shot Jacques first, and was shot in turn by my father when my father seized the gun from him. After that, the true culprit turned the third person into water, erasing all traces of him from the scene.
Thank you for the summary, Your Honor. Of course, the guard's conclusion appeared quite sensible to us at the time. However, we should revisit the case now that we've gained new information about the abilities of water from the primordial sea.
Allora, tocca a noi. Allora, due spari. Secondo le indagini, Callas, che aveva un movente per ucciderlo, ha assassinato Jax per via del suo tradimento. Ma è la verità? Allora, Florent, consulente di Rasula, ha affermato di essere molto grato a Callas per la sua gentilezza. Anche lui era presente al banchetto del giorno del delitto e può provare con sé che non aveva fatto con un'arma. Combinando le informazioni, ok. Poi, ricostruzione degli eventi. No. Le indagini della Guard non ha trovato altre armi da fuoco sulla scena, di conseguenza hanno concluso che il primo colpo del sospettato deve essere andato a vuoto, mentre il secondo deve aver colpito fatalmente Jax. Questa deduzione si basa sulla supposizione che non ci fosse alcuna terza persona sulla scena, ma a quanto pare esiste un modo in grado di coprire brillantemente le tracce dell'assassino. Allora, il banchetto. Quando gli ospiti sono arrivati sulla scena hanno trovato il sospettato principale Callas con una pistola in mano, mentre il suo conoscente Jax giaceva morto per terra con una ferita d'arma da fuoco. In base alle indagini svolte non c'era alcuna possibilità che qualcun altro avesse potuto combattere queste cose. Dopo aver condotto delle indagini è stato chiarito che Callas non ha portato una pistola con sé. Inoltre i dettagli suggeriscono l'esistenza di una terza persona sulla scena.
Something's not right.
Aspetta.
Something's...
Niente, Florent non va bene per nessuna scena. Allora, devo concentrare. Analisi dei sospettati. Faccio prima.
Something's not... This assassin,
Ok.
then turned to shoot Callas, only for Callas to wrestle the gun from him and kill him instead.
No. Ok.
Testimony of the victim's family confirms that Jacques had thoughts of assassinating Callas when he set out for the banquet. However,
Ok.
he reconsidered and instead shared everything with Callas, hoping to seek the latter's protection. Unfortunately for Jacques, the true culprit had already considered this possibility and had sent out another assassin.
Sto vincendo. Ok.
A bundle of clothing was found at the scene. The guards once believed they were used by Jacques as a costume to disguise himself. But now, it is clear that the clothes were proof that there was a third person at the scene, and that they were turned into water after committing the murder. Since it was raining that day, the culprit was confident that they could use the rain to wash away all traces of their dissolved accomplice. Realizing this, the true culprit caused the hired assassin to dissolve into water, leading everyone to believe Callas was responsible for Jacques' murder. This is the true version of events.
Forti. Yeah.
Ah, so that's what happened. Wait, you're telling me something as dangerous as water from the primordial sea has been used for all these years?
What a great theory. It also explains Callas's and Jacques' respective motives. I guess they didn't shoot each other after all.
Mr. Marcel, you are the one being charged with the crime. You should provide a rebuttal if you wish to prove your innocence.
Ah, but I think I agree with everything Navia just said. In fact, there was nothing in her speech that directly implicated me.
Then, may I ask some questions? In my opinion, we primarily need to determine two things. One, do you have the evidence to back up your claims?
I'm afraid not. At least not at this very moment. Boo!
If you don't have any evidence, you should just go home.
Ma cosa vuoi, Tim? Non c'è da fare nulla che andare a vedere le cause legali.
If we look up the deserted clothes against a record of people who went missing around the same time, we should be able to find a match. Considering the serial disappearances case, the guards probably kept careful records of all missing persons from around that time, regardless of age or gender.
That makes sense to me. Monsieur Neuvillette, I would consider this to be a reasonable investigative direction.
Why do I feel like Farina's acting a little differently today?
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself again?
Alternatively, she's become more diligent, charging an innocent citizen in the last trial.
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. If the truth is indeed as you described, then why didn't Mr. Callis explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been dissolved, he could have at least mounted a defense.
I thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. He felt there were things that were more important to him.
In che senso?
The power of water from the primordial sea is an important secret for the true culprit of the serial disappearances case. My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose to take it to the grave. At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had no guarantee that going forward with the truth would allow the culprit to be brought to justice. What was certain, however, was that it would paint a gigantic target on my back.
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected as the next target of the serial disappearances case.
What?
If the secret had gotten out, the culprit would have fought an all-out war with Espina right there and then. I wouldn't have been the only one in danger. All of us would have stood to lose our lives. Of course, the guards might eventually figure out the truth of the matter and determine that we were in the right. But what good would that do? How can a hollow verdict protect anyone? Had this opera house ever given my father any kind of confidence in its brand of justice, Spina di Rosula would have had no reason to exist. But by staying silent, we retained the ability to deter our opponents and continue the stalemate. I was able to become Spina di Rosula's president, which made me harder to target, as well as giving me more time to grow and learn. And once I have figured out the truth and stepped up to the challenge, I will do what this opera house cannot, and restore my father's truth and honor back to him.
So, you mean to say, your father intended to die in the duelist's ring?
That's right.
Do you have any proof?
Of course.
Ah, sì?
All you need is to ask his opponent, Clarand. I don't need your apology, your guilt, or your support from the shadows. You don't have to do anything for my sake. But since he entrusted his will to you, Clarand, you should tell us the truth about his sacrifice.
So, during the duel, did you believe that Callis was intending to die?
Yes, I did. As a champion duelist.
Carissima.
Battles, and taken a countless number of dishonored lives. In my line of work, I've seen all kinds of people give their all for the faintest hope to continue living. Some were determined, others passionate, and some even manic and twisted. Just one look and I can tell if a duelist is hoping to live, or if they're looking to die. I hereby swear on my name and honor as a champion duelist that Mr. Callis never intended to leave the ring alive.
Since that's your testimony, I have no more questions. It appears there really are good grounds to reopen this case.
I concur. However, Miss Navia, you still did not explain the link between your father's case and the serial disappearances case.
Right? What she said was fascinating, but kind of beside the point.
Wait, weren't they just talking about the serial disappearances case?
Of course, Your Honor. The two cases are connected via a matter of timing. In my father's case, the culprit intended to kill both Jacques and Callis. As a result, they plan to act after hearing 2 gunshots. And at the end of Linny's trial, the culprit also only dissolved the victim in front of everyone because they realized they were at risk of being identified. The culprit could only time their actions so precisely if they were already at the scene. Coincidentally, Marcel attended both the banquet and the trial.
So that's why you suspected me. Even after hearing your reasoning, I still can't help but find it a little preposterous. I'm used to it, though. You've always been an impulsive and sentimental child, Navia. It's one of your most endearing traits.
No need to appeal to pathos.
I won't try to refute your points one by one, but even if everything you just said was true, can you prove that I was the only person present at both events? On top of that, does a person have to be physically present to control the timing? Can't someone remotely monitor the place?
Know what you can say to that.
I know that even with that, you might still think you can reduce the list of suspects with some further investigations until I'm the only one left on the list. Alas, who won't feel at least a little hurt by an accusation of murder from a girl you see as your own daughter? But if I were to dismiss this completely, you'd also think I'm not being considerate of your feelings. Ah well, let Uncle Marcel teach you another lesson.
Aia.
Do you know what the biggest flaw in your reasoning is?
I suppose you're gonna tell me anyways.
It's timing again. I'm a businessman by trade. From that standpoint, there's no reason for me to kidnap young women. It's a high-risk action with nothing to gain. In addition, I left my home in Snezhnaya when I was young to come to Poisson and work in some trade. My business only thrived when I received Callus's patronage. But the disappearances began before I ever stepped foot in Fontaine.
I do apologize, demoiselle. This was my mistake.
No, it's not your fault. I'm sure he had come prepared.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to check the date of my first business license against the first known case of the serial disappearances? You can also take a look at my border entry records, or ask my friends and family when I left Snezhnaya for the first time. Could those records and testimonies do something to appease the...
La sta mettendo un po' alle strette però, veramente perspicace.
Looks like she got the wrong guy. At this rate, Navia will be convicted for falsely accusing him.
I think you've done a superb job of dissecting your father's feelings as he neared the end of his life. But aren't you going against all of his wishes and expectations right now? He wished for you to become more rational, collected, and conscientious, instead of dwelling only on your own feelings. Once you've learned to be more considerate of others' feelings, and to stop rushing headlong into things, you'd have met most of his expectations.
This isn't just about me, and it never has been. The biggest difference between me and the rest of the victims is that I still have the ability to search for the truth, while that same agency has long been taken from them. The people whose families were destroyed by synth abuse, the people who lost their loved ones to the serial disappearances, and the people who suffered tragic ends due to their sense of justice. Many people's images are flashing before my eyes. I'm sure some are coming to those of you in the audience as well. And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man named Vacher?
Ooh, ai ai ai.
You know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone I've never even heard of.
Sì, sì, vieni, Faina.
Say that.
Poco prima all'ingresso della serie di produzione del synth. Oh, ritocca a noi. Vediamo un po'. Bisogna fare un bel lavoro adesso, eh. Dove siamo? Dove siamo? Non mi dà manco una mappa. Porta della nascita. Configurazione gruppo. Va benissimo.
Take it easy.
Via giù.
Gotcha. Things are about to get dicey.
Billowing surge! Dissipate!
Ok. Avvia cosa?
The floor is going up! Is it because of this mechanism in the middle? That guy really prepared a lot of stuff for this place.
Allora, ma dove siamo finiti? Se metto la mappa, dove mi dice che siamo? Qua non mi dà grandi informazioni però. Benvenuti a Rapture.
Paimon thinks we need to go up, but Paimon doesn't see a way. Let's take a look around. Maybe we'll find a hidden mechanism that'll show us the way up.
Te dici Paimon, eh? Mi serve il granchio. Ok. Elementare, Watson.
The water level is rising. Now we can swim to the top. But this is still a ways away from where we need to go.
Capiamo, è da farti tutte le cose perché qui secondo me mi sembra abbastanza... Che palle.
Busted.
Rust and reeve it.
E senza un po' troppini, eh?
Game's up.
Our bond is strong. Turn, bring refuge.
Là. Ci dovremmo essere adesso. In teoria.
Now the path is clear.
It's time. Si dia inizio.
Let's move out.
Facciamo forzare un attimo. Ok, qui c'è qualcos'altro, mi sembra di no. Bene. Molto bene, a tratti benissimo. Qualcosa non mi torna in questo meccanismo, quindi lo farò a fuoco. Quello sotto cosa succede? Due guardie così, eh? E volete fare i ganci, volete fare... Boh, li fate a modo, fate a modo. Ok, caricami. Perfetto, quello volevo. Hai ragione. Porco il demonio. Là. Veloce, indolore, efficace. E là, vai piano. Mi sa che Naida non è atterrata molto bene.
We finally made it to the innermost sanctum. Though, as expected, the mastermind isn't here.
Se non erro, proprio mentre parliamo, Navia lo sta accusando.
That's right. Then let's hurry up and find some evidence so we can get back to the opera house and help Navia.
Allora, capiamo, un baule. È molto sospetto.
What's all this? Aw, it's a bunch of really cute things. Pink accessories, a hair tie, a necklace, even a makeup box.
C'è anche un nome?
Paimon sees it too, but why are all these cute things?
Forse appartenevano alle vittime.
Huh? You mean the girls from the serial disappearances? They were brought here? And then they were turned into water. And all the boxes of things. These names. That means... Oh, this is terrible.
Bene da persona scomparsa. Nelle profondità del quartier generale avete scoperto degli oggetti contenuti in contenitori suddivisi in base ai nomi dei proprietari. Questi nomi devono avere a che fare con le vittime del caso delle sparizioni seriali. Potrebbe essere la prova che questa fosse la loro fermata finale. Ok, allora, quindi venivano portate qua tutte le ragazze.
Let's see what's written here. Nothing escapes Detective Paimon's eyes. Callus. Navia's father. Oh, this seems to be an investigation report on him.
Deve essere collegato al suo caso e a quello di Jax.
Yep, it's about finding someone to assassinate Jacques and Callus because of a lack of confidence that Jacques himself would go through with it. This should prove the existence of the third person, right? We still have not determined the exact content of the key information Callus has passed on to certain members of his organization. The old dog's a real menace to deal with. Even if he abides by the promise he's made to us, he will still have the upper hand. He can act whenever he wants to make our lives miserable. The only option left is to remove him from the picture entirely. I concur. Let's send someone to kill him. He won't declare war as long as we don't touch Navia. Oh, seems like we've got a bunch of correspondence between the higher-ups.
Si sono preparati in largo anticipo.
They're all just so evil.
Cazzata, Paimon, eh? Rapporto investigativo di Callas. Sono stati ritrovati indizi sul caso di Callas all'interno della scatola dei libri. Il colpevole non credeva che Jax l'avrebbe fatto davvero e così ha inviato una terza persona per garantire la morte di Callas. I seguenti contenuti definiscono anche il movente del colpevole in un certo senso. Vabbè, più o meno. Allora, quindi questo l'ho visto. La vasca addirittura.
Look! There's an important looking basin over here, and it's full of water.
Deve trattarsi di acqua del mare primordiale.
This is where they make all the synth, and that special water is the main ingredient. If you dilute it with normal water, you'll get synth, but the pure stuff can dissolve a human. Paimon will take notes on this incriminating evidence.
Laghetto d'acqua primordiale. La pozza che si trova all'interno del quartier generale è piena di acqua del mare primordiale. Il colpevole può usarla per creare synth e usarla direttamente per dissolvere le persone. Maremma maiala. Là non c'è altro, però qui c'è parte robe. Le bottiglie.
Whoa! There's so much synth here! And so many bottles of ingredients that probably just contain the waters of the primordial sea.
Ce ne sono un sacco.
Mixing in progress, ready to drink, stock sample? Huh. They've also got all the synth pretty clearly labeled. Whoa, there's even fruit-flavored synth?
Beh, adesso abbiamo la prova. Il synth viene prodotto qui.
Yep, it's super obvious.
E quindi... Synth, una pozione popolare che si è diffusa ampiamente. Permette a chi la beve di vivere un'esperienza molto piacevole per un breve periodo di tempo, ma i suoi effetti collaterali sono molto forti. Il produttore usa queste caratteristiche speciali per ottenere enormi guadagni. Quindi capire,
What's this over here? Looks like some kind of place for research.
Potrebbe sembrare.
Number 16 aims to verify Jacob Ingold's research conclusions on the primordial sea and use his theory as a foundation to achieve a breakthrough.
Jacob Ingold.
Failure. No individual managed to resurface from the water from the primordial sea. Female specimens 22, 23, and 24 were dissolved.
Calmati, Paimon, cazzo!
Sorry, Traveler. Paimon will try her best. It's just that Paimon's never read something so scary before. How can someone write something that terrible in such a matter-of-fact tone? You read the rest. Paimon's too scared to keep going.
L'obiettivo del ricercatore è salvare la sua amata dissolta, una donna di nome Wagner.
So that's why he did all of these experiments. Wait, did he
Buonasera Nick, buonasera caro.
find a way just by dissolving people over and over? That's just insane!
Qui c'è un altro nome, Vasher. Carissimo.
Isn't that the name you heard by the fountain? I thought he was an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case.
Sta andando molto ma molto bene. Non so a che punto sono, ma sto incolpando il mio stesso zio. Sta Archon Quest. Spero non duri un'epopea. È il ricercatore questo qui.
You mean Vache is the one who did all of these experiments?
Sì, ha firmato pile di documenti relativi agli esperimenti. La voce che ho sentito dalla fontana doveva essere di Wagner.
So that's it. Vache was no victim, but personally took his lover and... No, that's not it either. If that's the case, why would he want people to resurface from the water?
C'è sicuramente qualcosa che va oltre alle apparenze.
In case, Paimon will write it all down.
Quindi tocca capire le cose. Registro degli esperimenti di Vasher. L'esperimento 16 mira a verificare le conclusioni delle ricerche di Jacob Ingold sul mare primordiale e a usare la sua teoria come base per giungere a una svolta. L'esperimento è stato un fallimento, nessun individuo è riuscito a... ok, ci sono molti altri documenti del genere. Va bene, allora... Ok. E se Vasher è forse il nome di Marcel?
Yeah, we haven't found anything that reveals his true identity. No wonder even Neuvillette wasn't able to find anything. Whoever it is probably destroyed everything to do with that name a long time ago. That way, even if we bring all this back to the opera, we won't be able to identify the true culprit.
Brillante, ma forse non basta, diamo un altro sguardo.
Paimon won't admit defeat to this guy either.
Vabbè, basta che ti muovi. Quindi capire. Allora, questo è guardato questo e quest'altro. No, più di qua non posso andare, Non ci credo. Una volta c'è uno ostacolo ambientale in Genshin. Magari sono tutti pianti. Forse lassù qualcosa. Non posso manco arrampicarmi, perché sono... Madonna. Ah, questo è guardato. Ok. Qui si è guardato le bottiglie, ok. Né scendere né salire, né scendere né salire. Questo è guardato, qui si è guardato, la libreria. Qua dietro niente, quindi deve essere qualcosa. Elemental Vision. No, il dottore non è al lavoro, però deve alzarsi presto domattina, quindi stasera non ce la fa a loggare. Un indizio, un altro indizio. Ci deve essere un altro indizio. L'ho cagata la libreria? Sì che l'ho cagata. Libreria, i fiori e le cose. Il baule sui make up allora. Andrà presto al... Ormai è fisso il Conad. Allora, c'è da prendere... Questo no. Cosa dice la missione? Capiamo. Le indagini, tu Navia, dovete spararvi... Vabbè, sì, ho capito, ma vabbè. La vasca. Forse è il coso del make-up. No, le bottiglie, forse. Capiamo le bottiglie. No, il coso del make-up era questo.
You take that side and Paimon will take this side. Keep everything carefully. We'll find something for sure.
Ok.
Nothing at all. And Paimon can't even find snacks either.
Paimon l'ho trovato. Perfetto.
Whoa, really? Let Paimon see. Isn't that Vache's lover's name? Then you found her diary. Let's see.
Capiamo.
Aw, it's just a normal diary chronicling their love story. She was so sweet too.
Guarda questa pagina. Aveva fatto un elenco di nomi da bambini. Che devo dire si leggono più o meno.
So many. A whole page's worth. But they're all crossed out.
Non proprio.
Happy with all of them? The final name she decided on was Marcel.
Già.
But Marcel's pretty old. Has this case been going on for so long that he's Vache and Venier's grown son?
Attenzione, Paimon sa le cose. Paimon, andiamo. È il momento.
Hey! Paimon still hasn't figured it out yet.
Nemmeno io, Paimon, ma chi se ne frega. Taccuino di Vigner, un diario di appartenente a una signora di nome lei. Racconta molte storie del suo tempo col suo amante. Vacher, su una di queste pagine ha preparato molti nomi per il loro futuro figlio, decidendo infine di chiamarlo Marcel. Un botto parlano in questa quest. Parlano veramente un botto. Però è un Archon, quindi ci sta che parlino una vita.
Image. Do you see, Marcel? Is it a man?
Grande Marcello.
Vache? Oh, so you do know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone I've never even heard of.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Navia! We're back!
Sai, entra. Objection!
My partner. I just knew you'd return in the nick of time.
Just how often do you intend to flout the rules of this court?
It's all right, Monsieur.
Navia spira, Navia.
I expect they've found the crucial evidence.
Hai detto di non aver mai sentito parlare di Vacher. Seleziona la prova più provante del mondo.
But the truth of it, Marcel, is that you've always been Vache.
Huh?
We've investigated your lair and we already know everything. Veneer was dissolved. You kept abducting young women to experiment on the hopes of bringing her back to you. You even created Marcel as a new identity and destroyed all records of your past as Vache.
So that's it. Even the villains in opera performances rarely go that far. And with that, Marcel's motive...
Florinde, amore.
This information regarding your past also dismantles your prior timing defense. Well, Marcel, do you know where you went wrong? You fixated your gaze on the lover that passed away, instead of paying attention to the living people around you. So, you never noticed how we changed, or how we grew as individuals.
You also never understood Boss's real expectations for his daughter.
Or our determination to see things through.
Your determination.
Mr. Marcel, please speak up now if you would like to defend yourself. Otherwise, the trial will move on to the next stage.
Do you really think I wanted to do any of this? Pay attention to you? What for? Have you ever paid attention to me? Ever empathized with me?
Attenzione!
Ever known how it feels to watch the love of your life dissolve right in front of your eyes? No one helped me. No one even believed me. All those decades ago, even the officers from the Maison Gardiennage were laughing at me. They said there's no way a human being can turn into water. So I must have gone mad from grief. Vigniere's death was brushed away by all of you as if it didn't matter at all. Well, now you know, don't you? Ha! Well, it's too late now. All those who were dissolved are gone forever.
Nemmeno ha provato a scagionarsi.
Yourselves to blame. You set up this ornate opera house in pursuit of your so-called justice, your beloved drama, while turning a blind eye to the suffering of the people. Vigniere is dead. We promised each other that we would always be together. Wherever she goes, I will follow.
Esatto.
But I'm not from this blasted place, so I can't be dissolved, no matter what I do.
Hey, is that water from the primordial sea that he's drinking?
I can't dissolve! Can't dissolve! Can't dissolve! Do you all see? I can't go, I can't follow. So if I can't go where she is, what choice do I have but to try to bring her back? I did all of that, and in the end, that accursed Callus still got the better of me. I spent my entire life living on pins and needles, only to get stabbed by his idiot daughter at the very end.
The suspect is exhibiting signs of mental distress. Guards, please restrain him.
Addirittura.
Don't anybody come near me. I still need to save Vigniere. A promise. We made a promise. Vigniere. Please, Vigniere. Don't think badly of me. All I want to do is fulfill our promise.
At this point, the verdict of this trial is clear. With Mr. Marcel's conviction, the charges against Mr. Tartaglia no longer have any basis.
Fine by me. I was in a bad mood, but after a show like that...
Vabbè, Tartaglia come sempre non serve a nulla.
Traveler, please submit all the evidence you have collected to the guards, so that I might review and summarize the truth behind the serial disappearances case.
Oh, siamo qua.
The man now known as Marcel was originally named Vacher and worked as an adventurer with his partner and lover Vigniere. During an underwater expedition, Vigniere accidentally came into contact with water from the primordial sea and was dissolved in front of Vacher as a result. Vacher learned of the primordial water's existence through the work of others and began to kidnap young women for research, with the goal of discovering a method to restore Vigniere back to life. To cover his tracks, he invented the new alias of Marcel and began to operate a business in Poisson.
Okay.
During the course of his research, Vacher discovered that a diluted concoction of water from the primordial sea can induce feelings of euphoria, and began to manufacture and market synth. However, as he accumulated wealth to fund his continued research and expanded the scope, he came into conflict with Spina di Rosula. After exchanging blows with Spina di Rosula for many years, Vacher decided to assassinate their president Callus at a banquet. Although the assassination did not go as Vacher expected, he was able to turn Callus into the murder suspect by dissolving the assassin he sent to the scene. And just recently, Vacher attempted to frame Linny as the culprit of the serial disappearances case, using a similar method. However, his attempt to frame Linny failed, and the power of water from the primordial sea became public knowledge. This case also exposed enough of Vache's machinations that he was eventually successfully charged in court. Thus concludes the enigmatic history of the serial disappearances case, with the truth revealed to all. The oratrice will now deliver the final verdict regarding the charges against Mr. Vache.
Cosa vuoi dire? Vedrai.
According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale, Mr. Vache is guilty.
Oh.
Guards! Take Vache away.
Good. It's what he deserves.
With that, the serial disappearances case is over.
Più o meno.
We really just witnessed history. Who would have thought the true culprit would be such a polite and well-spoken guy?
Yippee! We helped Navia bring the bad guy to justice! He's hurt so many innocent people and now he's finally getting what he deserves. Huh? Are you okay?
Navia? Addio.
Mademoiselle, you were absolutely brilliant.
The day our late boss had always hoped for is finally...
Sì, anche a me Paimon ha rotto veramente.
Knowing justice has been served.
Yeah. Yeah. It's finally over. It's all thanks to you guys. And my partner. See, Papa? Spina di Rosula's still doing well with me at the helm.
Well now, hasn't this been a most delicious piece of drama? The villain has been caught, justice has been served, past...
Vabbè, Tartaglia, sei veramente irrecuperabile.
Happy ending. Since it's been such a great show, I'll just let the false accusations against me slide. Either way, I've still got some business to attend to. So, if you'll excuse me...
Please wait just one moment, Mr. Tartaglia.
Ugh, what now? None of this has anything to do with me.
No, però cosa ci fai qui a Fontaine?
Since this trial was initiated due to a charge against you, a verdict must also be made regarding the initial charge before the trial can conclude.
Oh, come on. Is this really necessary? Haven't you already caught the real criminal? Isn't it time for side characters like me to exit stage left?
Please respect the laws of Fontaine. This has always been the rule.
All right, but this sure is a lot of hassle. All I need to do is stand over there, right? Let's just get this over with.
Through evidence presented in the public trial that was just held, it has been established that Mr. Tartaglia has no direct connection to the serial disappearances case.
Okay.
The guilty party has been identified, and thus it is logical to suppose Mr. Tartaglia is innocent of the charges. We now...
Unbelievable.
Oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
No, tutta l'animazione ancora, no? Ah, meno male.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale, Mr. Tartaglia is guilty.
Di cosa?
What?
Che combinato?
Hey! That's not funny! Didn't you just say I'm supposed to be innocent? What's with this verdict? Is your justice machine malfunctioning?
Huh? This has never happened before. The Oratrice actually returned a different verdict from the Chief Justice.
I mean, have you ever heard of an innocent Fatui Harbinger? Do you think the Oratrice might have just convicted him on general principle?
But weren't the charges about the serial disappearances? No matter what else he's guilty of, it shouldn't affect the verdict in this case.
Il principe è stato dichiarato da colpevole dell'oratrice mécanique. Cosa sta accadendo qui, eh?
The judgment of the Oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale is, by law, the final verdict of the court.
Certo.
We must accept.
Affidiamo a un computer il giudizio.
Guards, please take the suspect into custody per court protocol.
Non mi sembra molto convinto però,
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What a joke. You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
Non vuole noie. Zero noie.
I am sorry.
Mamma mia. Che bestia.
The rules of the court.
Quanto sei grosso, nuvoletta. Mamma mia, che uomo.
Hey, Monsieur Novelette, what's going on? Shouldn't they have been cleared already?
Fortissimo.
This is also the first time I've encountered such a situation. However, according to the rules established at the conception of Fontaine's court system, the oratrice's judgment is the final verdict of the court. All I do is follow court procedure. As for why the oratrice arrived at the conclusion it did, you should probably ask someone more knowledgeable than me.
Beh, se non lo sa neanche il giudice supremo, allora non ci resta altra scelta che chiedere all'Archon in persona. E Moody lo ha pullato a caso, già.
Why are you looking at me? I had nothing to do with it. I don't know what happened there either. Hey, stop staring at me!
What does Lady Verena mean by that?
She says she has no idea either, but that's impossible. Didn't she create the oratrice herself?
Yeah, so are the verdicts reliable or not? Can results like this really be called justice?
My dearest citizens, did you really think we'd allow an incorrect verdict to be handed out in this court? Did you really believe that the judgment could be mistaken or be the result of some sort of random mishap? Don't tell me. You thought even I had been blindsided by the oratrice's result.
But the way she looked just now,
Nick.
pretty obvious she had no idea what was going on.
However, given the state of things, I shall give you an explanation. Everything that just took place, including my supposed shock and bafflement, was a part of an elaborate performance, with every action meant to stir up drama and excitement. And, of course, for every performance there is a script. Everything has unfolded exactly as I expected from the very beginning. As the embodiment of the very concept of justice, the oratrice shall never render an arbitrary judgment! If you thought Child had nothing to do with the serial disappearances case, it is only because you've been blinded by the superficial appearance of innocence. Everything he's done, not to mention the danger he poses, are beyond ordinary comprehension and completely unforgivable!
Va bene?
Shall be revealed in time. You will come to understand my noble intentions, as well as the absolute correctness of the oratrice's verdict. Now, having said that, although I hate to leave things hanging in suspense, it is now time for this performance to end. As the lead actress, I shall be the first to take my leave. Toodaloo!
So she chose to make her escape after all, did she?
Già.
So you're saying we shouldn't put much stock into what she just said?
She probably just put on that performance to save face. As for the truth, it's unlikely that she actually has.
Lei ha proprio tolto la terra da sotto i piedi. Le hai proprio tolto la terra da sotto i piedi.
Be assured that I will continue to investigate this case in a personal capacity. Just as I promised, if the judgment has been incorrect, we will do our utmost to clear his name.
All right. Even though we feel pretty badly for him, we'll take your word for it for now. After all, he's done plenty of bad stuff.
Ha le orecchie da elfo nuvole? No, non mi sembra.
Someday, right?
Almeno non mi sembra. Cioè, boh, come papi. Oddio, sembrano un po' da elfo. Sì, sono palesemente da elfo, sono punta così. Però mi sembrano troppo elfiche. Allora, devo uscire dal teatro. Però forse... No, sono tutte le orecchie fatte un po' così, No, scherzavo. No, ce l'ha elfo, sì, ce l'ha elfo. O forse tutte quelle di Fontaine c'hanno così. Aspetta un attimo. Tizia, fatti vedere le orecchie. Sì, lo so, è un feticismo strano, però... È sospetto, nuvoletta, è molto sospetto.
Hey, what are you doing? Quick, stop him!
Placcatelo!
Traveler! Hey! Traveler!
Cazzo, no.
Marcel, what are you doing over here?
Stop resisting arrest! Cease, or we'll add another charge to the list.
No, wait!
Un dragonoide, addirittura.
I'm not looking to run away. Please, just let me ask this one small thing.
Go on.
Thank you. I was being led away when I finally realized something. Where did you first hear the name Vache? I erased all records of that name. So, unless...
Are you still trying to prove your innocence? Give it up. You've already been convicted.
L'ho incontrata.
Really? You did? You're sure? You met her? But how could that be? How did you manage...
Già, è vero. È successo nei pressi della fontana di Lucine. Aveva a che fare con la mia sensibilità all'elemento idro.
Fountain of Lucine? Then she's been so close to me all along. And I just never... Please give me a chance to talk to her again. Just let the Traveler take me to the fountain to see her one last time. This is the last request I'll ever make in my life. You can do whatever you want to me afterwards. I don't care.
What? Give an inch and you want to take a mile? Do you think serial killers get to make requests like that?
Paimon agrees. Why should we give him what he wants when he's only done a ton of super terrible things?
This request, is it worth as much to you as your life?
Of course! Wait, no. It's worth even more than my life.
Humans. Will they betray...
Umani. Attenzione, nuvoletta. Perché dici umani così?
Very well. I will grant your request.
Your Honor, I fear that...
I will go with him. You do not need to worry about any escape.
In that case, I shall leave him in your most capable hands, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Conduci Marcelle alla piazza della fontana. E noi ci andiamo a fare tutte cose. Così riscuoto anche i miei amati gettoni d'idro. Sempre se si muove. Là.
Is this the place? You said she's here, but what do I need to do to see her?
In quell'occasione avevo bevuto l'acqua del mare primordiale. Aveva acuito la mia sensibilità a idro.
after drinking that thing. Didn't you just drink a lot of it on the stage as well? Oh, and
Vache.
Eccoci.
Ah!
Yes, that's it. So you heard it too.
Vignier, it's me! It's me, Vache!
Vache? Vache.
Sì, Vache.
I'm here! Where are you, Vignier? I'm coming for you. I'm finally here for you.
Hey, wait! Be careful! Hey, wait!
Cazzo succede?
Is that you?
Ma che... ok.
Vignier!
Vache, why did you come? Didn't I say? You don't need to look for me. You look a lot older than I remember. How long has it been?
It's been more than 20 years. I've suffered for over 20 years since the day you left. All this time, only the thought of bringing you back has kept me alive. Nothing else mattered to me. I must be dreaming. Who would have thought I'd get the chance to tell you all of my feelings like this? Vignier, you are my everything. I really don't know how I could live without you.
Povero Marcel.
But Vache, if you ask me, this world
Eccoci.
would be better off without you.
What are you saying?
If not for you, I would have finished my law degree and probably become a top...
Cioè, ci ha messo 20 anni a ritrovarla e le dice, ma forse era meglio se non ti avessi mai incontrato.
I would have continued to pursue my love of the arts, and my works would have been displayed in the Palais Mermone.
Cioè, blastato sotto ogni punto di vista sto povero uomo.
Not for you. I would at least have been able to take care of my mother. And she would not have grown old and died alone, with nothing but the tears on her cheeks. It's all because of your selfishness, Vache. It's all because of you.
You... Wait, you are not Vignier. Who are you?
You're right. I am not Vignier. I am the sacrifices.
Ok.
Every woman who died by your hand, as our bodies dissolved, our consciousnesses flowed back to the primordial sea. Our thoughts circulated endlessly within the primordial sea, and we were no longer individuals, but we became one, just as streams of water come together in the sea. I'm Cressy. I'm Lemony. I'm Azine. The only one I am not is Vignier.
Ok.
Why? But then, where is Vignier?
She doesn't want to see you anymore. Every tendril of her consciousness is avoiding you. This is what you get for your selfishness. Your selfishness robbed us of our lives and our futures. You said time and time again that you'd do any and everything for her. But did you ever consider whether she'd want to see you do the things that you did? If she would despise you for what you became? You are a liar, a heartless murderer, and a cowardly narcissist.
Cioè, completamente annichilito sotto ogni punto di vista st'uomo.
Beloved. From the moment your first victim died and her consciousness merged with Vignier's, she has had nothing but pure hatred for you.
Sembra che nemmeno io all'epoca conoscessi Vignier. Probabilmente volevano che attirassi... Ok.
Yeah, she can't hate me. Let me see her, please. Have mercy.
You still don't understand. When I said don't look for me, That came from the real Vignier. She really doesn't want to see you anymore. But on top of that, she also said that because it's her final drop of pity for you. She said that because she knew that if you did come here, we will show no mercy to you.
Vache.
Vache?
Vache.
Vache!
Vache.
Vache!
Drown.
Ok. In seguito alla guardia scoperta che la spedizione di Marziana sembrava per fatemi leggere, perdetemi il tempo. Alcuni giorni dopo.
Finally, we have some time to do shopping. Gosh, it's really been a long time since we've been able to relax.
Fare shopping è comunque alquanto stressante, le mie gambe stanno implorando pietà.
Ah, well met, partner.
Navia, carissima anche te però.
What happened when I woke up in such a good mood today?
Even this weather can't put a damper on the demoiselle's mood.
It's a pleasure to see you both again.
Carissimo. Silver.
Hey, Navia! It's been a few days. Paimon's already started to miss you.
Oh, now that I believe. I'm easy to work with and always bring home the bacon. Who wouldn't treasure having a partner like me?
Sounds like you're really enjoying life these days, Navia. What have you been busy with since the trial?
It's just been one thing after the other. I've been making non-stop trips between Poisson and the court since then. Everyone from Spina di Rosula organized a memorial for my father. We never held a memorial when he first died, since everyone knew that even if we held one back then, no one was going to come. This time, though, everyone in Poisson, and even many people from the court, all attended.
So his name's definitely been cleared now. That's what we like to hear.
It's been
Forte.
the dearest wish of Demoiselle all along.
That blasted stubborn fool. I was right to put my faith in him. I'm so glad I didn't give up on the case all those years ago.
Tutto è bene quel che finisce bene.
Oh, by the way, I ran into Charlotte just after I left the memorial service. Well, maybe it'd be more accurate to say I knew she would be there, and there was no way she'd just let me go.
Huh? So you know Charlotte too? The Charlotte? Journalist from the Steambird?
Yeah, way back when I first became the president of the Spina di Rosula.
No, Nick.
Over me. Wouldn't take no for an answer. I believe the story was called The True Heart of Darkness, Secret Tales of the Yellow Rose. To be fair, though, it was a really flattering feature. So, we've been on pretty good terms ever since. She was trying to lean on our friendship to get me to do an exclusive piece on the serial disappearances case.
Oh yeah, she told us about that. She's always been super interested in that case, so now her wish has finally come true too.
Anyway, I told her to make sure that when she writes about you guys entering the opera house with the critical evidence, that you both sound really cool.
Now that's another thing to look forward to. We trust Charlotte's skills with a pen for sure.
Oh, and in other news, I also took Clorinde out for a...
Carissima, chi non porterebbe a pranzo fuori Clorinde?
While you were investigating Vache's headquarters, Clorinde gave testimony on my father's behalf. It was thanks to her that we were able to turn the tide. I wanted to thank her. I mean, there's also no point in being awkward all the time, so we took the chance to reconcile with each other.
Oh, that's great. Paimon also thought Clorinde wasn't actually a bad person. It's always good to have more friends.
Anyway, now that the case has finally been solved, perhaps it will slowly begin to fade from the public consciousness. Oh, actually, there's still one last thing I need to do.
What is it?
I should pay a visit to my father's grave and tell him the truth of what happened, as well as how it all ended. And on top of that, just how much people still look up to him to this day. That includes me, too.
Miss Navia.
In realtà ha parlato prima Clorinde, mezzo frame durante il caso. Andiamo tutti, vai.
We want to go too. We also think Callus is a really admirable person.
Sure thing. I'd like you two to share the moment with me. After all, without you, there might not have been such a positive ending.
And in that case, everyone, let's be off. Considering the recent weather, we'll be lucky if we can reach Poisson before dark.
Yeah, you're right. It's been raining non-stop for a few days now.
Quindi andiamo alla tomba del padre di Navia, ovvero Callas, credo.
This is where my father's grave is. To be perfectly honest, even I haven't been back here for a long time.
Huh? There's someone there already. Wait. That figure. It can't be... Isn't that Neuvillette? Why would...
Oh, attenzione, nuvoletta. Ah già, perché lui comunque non è intervenuto. Diciamo così.
My apologies. I should have asked before coming to pay my respects.
Don't say that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I was trying to say there's no need for you to apologize. I wanted to show my father how much I've grown, but still, I doubt I've grown to the point that even the Chief Justice would feel compelled to apologize to me over and over.
In that case, I will stop apologizing for now.
You really could use some pointers on understanding human emotions, Monsieur Neuvillette.
Sì, in effetti l'hanno fatta abbastanza, meno male.
Why did you come to Poisson?
Well, ever since that day, I've been turning a question over and over in my head. Just what is justice anyway? There was once a time when I didn't want to believe that there could be anything more important to humans than life itself. Oh, rather than that, it's probably more truthful to say I didn't believe humans were capable of resisting the most basic instinct of living things. That they could rebel against their own nature, or consider certain things to be more important than their own lives. Which is also why I didn't stop your father from beginning that fateful duel. I believed that a truly innocent man would never throw away his life like that. That there was nothing, should have been nothing more important than one's own continued survival. But Mr. Callus proved utterly and decisively wrong. If not for his sacrifice, the serial disappearances case would have remained unsolved to this day. Mr. Callus made the choice he did for his daughter, for his associates, and for many people completely unrelated to him. And in the end, from a certain perspective, one could say that he did it all for the sake of justice. A justice that's higher than life itself. So, you asked me why I came here.
Attenzione.
My apologies to Mr. Callus in person. I should have noticed all of this much sooner. This regret has filled me with a sadness that has haunted me for days. That high and mighty chair in the opera Epiclese indeed insulates one from many important things. Spina di Rosula, thank you so much for your hard work and perseverance.
I'm sorry for being mad at you before. So, you're actually one of those types that's cold on the outside, but pretty thoughtful on the inside, huh? That reminds me of Silver, one of my guys.
Sorry about that. Self-expression is not one of my strong suits.
Didn't I just say you don't need to apologize?
Ah, so Navia and Neuvillette seem to have made...
Meno male, ora basta che le varie di turno Paimon e sono tutti contenti.
We can wait till after they're done.
No? Ok.
Paimon's never paid respects at someone's grave before. Did Paimon do anything rude there?
Beh, in teoria non dovresti svolazzare attorno alla tomba della gente.
Oh, Paimon didn't know that was a thing. But Paimon doesn't know what she would do if she can't fly. Oh no. Paimon hopes Miss Navia won't be too mad.
Che sorriso beffardo ci hanno fatto in questa scena.
Anyway, Nervalette is still standing around there. It's not often that we can catch him alone like this, so why don't we go talk to him for a bit? If we can't talk to Lady Farina, we can at least talk to him, right?
Ah, devo andarci fisicamente. Paimon nel gabinetto. Vabbè, Nick, sei veramente scandaloso. Parla con nuvilette. Calla, vieni va.
Oh, it's you two. Did Miss Navia invite you to come pay your respects to her father?
Non proprio.
We ran into Navia on the streets today, so we just followed her here.
I see, I see. Then is there something that I can help you with?
Well, it's pretty hard to run into you like this since you're usually super busy. So we figured we could try to ask you a few questions, if that's okay.
Please feel free. Though outsiders, you helped us solve one of the greatest mysteries in Fontaine, and it would be my pleasure to return the favor.
A proposito dell'acqua del mare primordiale, della profezia che circola per Fontaine, il principe e mia sorella. Andiamo con ordine. Però mia sorella, se sapesse qualcosa.
Another blonde-haired traveler. I'm sorry, but I've never seen anyone who matches that description.
Vabbè, grazie. Ci ha provato.
Foot in Fontaine, I'm sure she followed our laws to the letter, and had no reason to appear on the stage of the opera Epicles. Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about?
Vabbè, ci ha provato. Tartaglia cosa dice?
My investigation has still not reached its conclusion. However, I still believe the judgment of the Oratrice was not rendered arbitrarily.
But you also said you thought he was innocent.
For many years, I have been quite aware that the Oratrice does not simply mechanically repeat the verdict that I give on each case. As a divinely created mechanism, the people's unified faith in the concept of justice is integrated into it. Not only can it produce the incredible power of indemnitium, but it likely also possesses other traits, such as self-awareness. Which is all to say, I have been prepared for a situation like this for a long time.
Ok.
So when Lenny told us that he heard a human voice from the room where the Oratrice's core is stored...
I was not aware such a thing had occurred. Perhaps that could serve to prove my conjecture. I will add to the list of items to investigate. In any case, I am inclined to believe that the Oratrice does have a methodology all its own. We just do not have enough information. Based on Farina's reaction, I doubt even she had any idea what was going on. She managed to bluff her way through it, though, with her time-tested twin tricks of bravado and drama. While we do intend to get to the bottom of this, for now, we regret to say that the Fatui Harbinger will just have to bide his time in the fortress of Meripede. If we did incorrectly convict him of crimes he did not commit, we will most certainly compensate him to the fullest extent allowed by the law.
If you ask Paimon, the only compensation he'll want is a no-holds-barred fight with you.
Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about?
Sei un elfo per caso? No, non si può chiedere questo. La profezia che circola per Fontaine.
The sea levels will rise and everyone will be dissolved in water, leaving Farina crying alone on her throne, but the sins of the people will be finally washed away for good.
No.
Does that appropriately summarize the version you've heard?
That's right! It was Lenny that told us back then. And that about covers all the main points.
Yes, up to the present, I think we reached a point where we have no choice but to confront this prophecy directly. Rumors have it that this prophecy is rooted in the last words the former Hydro Archon left to the world before she passed away.
A prophecy? Of the former Hydro? Wow. This is the first time that we've ever heard of it.
2 parts of the prophecy have already proven correct. The rising sea levels and the ability of the people of Fontaine to be dissolved. We should be more vigilant and stay on the watch for further signs. Speaking of the prophecy, Furina has also always taken it quite seriously. Indeed, she has been collecting information and intelligence from across Tevat for this purpose. If the rumors were true, then perhaps this prophecy is the conundrum left to Furina by her predecessor.
But with Furina being the way she is, can we really trust her to solve it?
Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about?
Va bene. Ovviamente devi la domanda perché nemmeno lui si fida di Furina, quanto pare.
So, at court, the bad guys referred to that special water as water from the primordial sea, but what is it really?
Truthfully, that name is already quite accurate. I can only surmise that Vacher and his ilk only learned of its nature and existence after extensive research. There used to be a special sea on the surface of this planet. The nature of its seawater was rather different from that of the sea we know today. Most of Tevat's life forms were first born in that special sea. You could say it nurtured much of the life on this planet.
Huh. So it really was where everything began. It makes sense to call it primordial then.
But today, the primordial sea no longer exists on the planet's surface. What Vacher discovered must have been some kind of special case, or a remnant from a truly ancient age.
Huh. So that's...
Oh, you really know everything, Monsieur Neuvillette. But if that's the case, then why would people, at least people from Fontaine, dissolve in that kind of water?
Indeed. Why would the primordial sea, which was known to engender and nurture life, suddenly reverse itself and devour life instead? To be frank, that also doesn't match my understanding of this world and its laws. There must still be some unknown secrets around the people of this land. Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about?
Tutto finito.
Very well. It was my honor to provide you with what answers I could. I very much enjoyed conversing with you.
Anche a me, Dio buono.
Time for me to leave this blissful tranquility behind and return to Palais Memoria.
You really are super busy, Monsieur Neuvillette. Paimon thought you only came here to pay your respects today because you had the day off.
Crime and villainy do not have the day off, and so justice must work around the clock as well. This is merely the nature of a justice's work.
All right, you've got a point. Huh? Paimon just noticed that the rain has stopped.
Missione completata.
You know, we've been walking around for a while now. Why don't we go back to the Spina di Rosula base in the court of Fontaine and have a rest? Navia said something about having a place ready for us there, didn't she? Come on, let's go!
Let's go. Però si fa let's go domani oppure altre volte, perché adesso direi anche basta. Riscuoto tutto, riscuoto, completa come pioggia inaspettata. Ok. Quindi con l'arco mi sono messo, quindi. Vedi? Possiamo iniziare la terza parte del capitolo 4, però lo facciamo un'altra volta, perché questa sera ci fermiamo